Please stand by. The stream will begin shortly. Please stand by. The stream will begin shortly. Please stand by.
I'm Steve.
I'm SP from Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a show about the general Marvel comic universe, part of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other hilarious and fun geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
This is the official GonnaGeek.com show. Each week we run down the latest news and happenings in the world of geek. These are your hosts for the show, Steven, Chris, and SP.
Welcome to an all-new episode of the official Gonna Geek show, not the fake one. I am Steven, and with me, of course, is Chris Farrell.
Steven, where's my $5?
I thought it was $3.50. We've also got SP here.
I have heard that the knockoff GonnaGeek.com show is actually better than the GonnaGeek.com show. So I'm wondering when we're going to start streaming that one.
You know what? The knockoff of anything to do with me is better.
I think that's the understanding of many. That's what I'm saying. Why are we not streaming that one instead?
Yeah. Hey, speaking of knockoffs, I know in our Discord server, you were just talking a little bit about how you watched the Friends reunion over the weekend, and I just found a fun little story. So apparently, a guy that I work with knows a guy that back in the day, Regis and Kelly would do like celebrity knockoff castings or whatever, where they would go and they would find people that looked like something, and they did Friends. And apparently, a guy I work with, one of his good friends, was cast as Chandler, and the resemblance was actually pretty fitting. So apparently Regis and Kelly used to do that back in the day. I watched the clip, and yeah, all three women didn't look like the people, but but the three guys did though.
So was it the ability to act like them was the similarity, or look was the key?
It was look. So these people were from all over the place. Like, they were actually ended up being 2 Canadians. The rest were in the States or US, and they just flew them all in. And it was just apparently a bit that Regis and Kelly would do. And because they said, like, I don't know for sure, but they had said they had it called like the celebrity lookalike segment or something. So it was generalized. So I got the impression that this was like the Friends one, and then maybe a few weeks later they do another one or something, right? But yeah,
I'm surprised that they couldn't find a lookalike for Jennifer Aniston and Courtney Cox.
The Courtney Cox lookalike was kind of okay. I didn't really see it though. I thought that the guys did, but anywho.
Is this Courtney before or after facial reconstruction surgery?
After, I think. I don't know.
Probably before, if it was at the time. No, I mean, if it was recent. When was Regis and Kathy Lee actually on the air? That's got to be 10 years ago now, right?
Kathy
like
Lee,
that.
long before that. If it was Kelly, it's more recent.
Yeah, well, Regis is no longer on the show, and Michael Strahan, right?
Regis is also dead.
Regis is dead, and Michael is gone too. Michael,
I was trying to be kind.
Yeah, Michael's gone.
Michael's gone too. It's Ryan Seacrest now, I think.
Yeah, it's Seacrest, I think.
Oh my gosh, no wonder I don't watch it.
Well, we aren't exactly the target demographic of live with insert actor A and actor B here.
I don't know if it's Jennifer Aniston. You know?
And with that said, I think that we should do the news after the break. All right, let's start off here with a weird news thing that I am throwing over to SP. I never thought that I would see the day that I tossed it to SP to do the news about space and Canadian space news. It's all Canadian space news. What is this, SP?
That's right. This is Canada's big week for space news. So first of all, I am going to throw a shout out to Gonna Geek Discord member Jim Video, who posted this story online. I hadn't seen it yet. I probably would have seen it tomorrow when I got back to work, but he posted a story from Science Alert, and it was an article about the Canada's portion of the International Space Station taking a hit from space debris. Now, this piece of space debris was just too small to be tracked by current sensing methods, which can only track debris as small as a softball. Anything smaller than that, it just doesn't happen. Currently, there are 23,000 such items, which are softball size or bigger, being tracked in low Earth orbit right now. There are more above low Earth orbit. That's just where it is in low Earth orbit, 23,000, and that's where the International Space Station is traveling. Now, the debris hit the Canadarm2 robotic arm. The arm is still operational, but the impact punctured the thermal blanket covering the arm and pierced right through the boom as well. The damage was discovered during a May 12th inspection of the station, and the event underscores the importance to mitigate the challenge of unwanted natural and man-made debris in orbit around the Earth. Now, you might be saying natural. What are you talking about, SP? Well, there's meteorites and space dust that the Earth comes into contact with all the time. So you have to take those things into consideration as well. It is too soon to know if this was actually a human made object that impacted the Canadarm or if this was natural. We may never know, but that was something that happened. Canada took a hit for the International Space Station. Stephen, how do you feel about that?
I'm very, very sad. Very, very sad that this has a hole in it now. A piece of Canadian space technology has a hole in it because of the space debris, which I can only assume after last week's conversation, it was basically just a warning shot by America against Canada. It's like, no, Stephen and your Canadian Space Agency, you better keep in your place. Know your place.
No.
Well-
We all know it was Suncast that's responsible for this. That debris wasn't space dust or anything like that. It was the leftover stick from his lollipop that he had from Candy in a van down by the river on Mars that he then launched from Mars at the arm. Because NASA's got some really advanced ability to calculate the trajectory to do that properly. And it is his fault that the Canadian space arm has been damaged because he wanted to get rid of his lollipop trash.
So what
That's a
kind of
deep hole.
reparations is Canada seeking against Suncast at this moment?
They can't prove it. I mean, it came from Mars in a secret NASA base.
All
Yeah.
right.
I mean, Suncast claims in the chat room it wasn't him, but he's got to say that for plausible deniability. I'm here to tell you, I've watched the trajectory of everything from Suncast encampment on this NASA Mars base, and I know it was him. I know Suncast. I know.
Caught him on a space station. Wasn't him. Sorry.
That's not all that happened in Canada space news in the past week. Secondly, in a statement on Wednesday, May 26, 2021, the Canadian Space Agency, CSA, officials announced a lunar rover partnership with NASA to be launched in 2026. Now, the rover will explore a lunar polar region. I'm not sure if it's North or South Pole. Survive an entire night on the moon, which lasts 13 Earth days, by the way, and carry at least 2 scientific instruments, one Canadian and one American. So Canada is going to have its own rover up there. Stephen, what do you think about that?
This is cool. I like it. This is awesome. We got to start somewhere. I know. In usual Canadian fashion, we're a little bit behind the curve on this. But that's our technology. Like that's all. We've talked all about this. There's a few things that we are, I think, overall as a country ahead of America in certain technological aspects and have been before. For example, the debit card thing. Like I've had them since I was a kid. Anyways. Overall, though, we've tracked this. We've talked about this before. Canada usually falls way, way, way behind the U.S. and is like, oh, yeah, Stephen, we had that down here like 10 years ago. So this is pretty usual. We're doing something that kind of seems like it should have been done in the 80s. But it's cool. It's cool.
There's a lot of things in space that should have been done back in the 80s, but just weren't. I mean, it's not just Canada here, it's everybody. So finally, there's a third news item with the Canadian Space Agency right now. 3 Canadian-funded technology demonstrations for lunar mission supply chains and 3 capability demonstrations for lunar missions funded under the Lunar Exploration Accelerator Program, or LEAP, were awarded last week. Now, the 3 capability demonstrations are scheduled to be tested on the lunar surface in 2022. That includes an artificial intelligence flight computer from Mission Control Space Services, a lightweight panoramic camera built by, you're going to have to help me with this, Canadensi.
How do you spell it? I didn't even see the name of it. How do you spell
Yeah.
it?
Canadensy. Canadensi?
That makes no sense. But
Canadensi.
see that okay, this gets
Yeah.
back to the whole Canada Arm thing, because when you say Canada Arm, after the duh, like it's duh arm. Like there's 2 A's in there, but that's not how it's spelled. Like everybody says, and I believe we officially call it the Canada Arm, but it's not. It's missing an A in the spelling. So this fits right in with the poor decisions of the naming conventions of the Canadian Space Agency.
Okay, well, you're going to have to work on that. And by the way, the third one was a planetary navigation system developed by NGC Aerospace Limited. Now, the 3 demonstrations will travel to the moon aboard the Japanese Hakutor lander. That's Hakutor lander. So Japan is sending up a lander next year, and Canada is going to have 3 capability demonstrations on board. So you don't have to wait till 2026. Next year, you're going to be on the lunar surface.
I'm literally Googling for this name that you just said, and nothing is coming up. It keeps suggesting Canadian eBay for some reason.
It's a shell company.
So I don't know. I cannot find anything to do with that. So you have stumped me on that.
Well, they're getting $2.5 billion to do this. No, 2.5 million.
I was going to say, where are they getting that? Because that is
Yeah.
grossly above the Canadian Space Agency budget.
The proposal was called Canadian Smart Lunar Vision System Performance Validation and Capability Demonstration.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, no, I think this is cool. I've expressed before my sort of distaste for how much we really put into the space programs in Canada, but you know, we got to do something somewhere, and we I guess are going to do moon stuff, which is cool.
I think it's cool. I think eventually, once SpaceX opens up the Starship capability for other countries to be able to launch stuff in, I think Canada's going to be right up in there. So you won't have to develop an infrastructure. You just pay for your ticket up there, just like you pay for a ticket
Yeah.
on United or Delta to travel somewhere. It'll be the same thing. And it's going to really open up space programs for a lot of people, a lot of countries, in Canada included, not just the United States. So I think this is neat. And I think Canada getting in on it now gives you a leg up for space-based technologies that you're going to need in order to actually work and play and do it, explore in space.
Okay, so I did a little bit of research for your news point here, SP. Okay, so
Okay,
when
go ahead.
some of this came out on Twitter, you ended up tagging me in, and we talked a little bit about my comment last week,
Yes.
which was the following. We know that there's no big, equivalent of NASA in Canada. So that was my point last week, was that there was no big equivalent in Canada, as I just said. And here's the numbers. Here's the bottom line numbers of the budget. I did a little bit of research.
I don't know why you're trying to self-deprecate here. I would have just left this alone.
NASA's budget, $22.6 billion.
Billion with a B. Yeah.
Canada's space agency's budget, $403 million. And if you're
And look how much you do with that $403 million versus us sinking into stuff that doesn't make a difference.
And just for those of you who can't do the calculation, it's less than 2% of NASA's budget is what it is. So I just thought that, I was excited to see this, obviously, because like I said, I really want to see Canada do more, but it doesn't alleviate the fact that we do so little. And so I needed to, not get all wrapped up in the excitement that was Canada doing this stuff. And I had to call it like it was, which was that we're still behind the curve. So anyways,
I don't know. You took a direct hit from space debris and you're
That's
still
true.
ticking.
That's
That's
fair.
something, man.
Yeah.
So anywho, there's the numbers right there. And we look forward to you guys shaming us further.
Shame. No, I'm not going to shame anybody.
No,
This is
it'll be
this is a lot of
It'll
money.
be the reverse of the finale of Space Force. Instead of China doing it to the U.S., U.S. will be doing something to Canada. That's what it'll be.
It'll be Canadian bacon in space.
Well, thank you very much for this, SP. I do appreciate you highlighting the Canadian space news.
You bet.
Chris, there's some big news out of the world of Amazon this past week, right?
Yes, and we're not talking A-word devices or Fire TV devices or things like that. Amazon's going on a bit of an acquisition spree, and this one had been rumored for a little bit, but it was announced on Wednesday of last week that Amazon was officially acquiring Metro Goldwyn Mayer Movie Studio, MGM, for about $8.45 billion. So the question is, why would Amazon want to acquire MGM? Well, here's the simple reason why. This acquisition includes the company's library of more than 4,000 films and also 17,000 TV shows. The catalog includes films released after 1986. A side note here, earlier library titles are controlled by Turner Entertainment Company, which is a division of Warner Media. So that would be things like, complete brain fart here. Just think older movies before 1986, some classics in there that MGM may have done, like The Wizard of Oz, for instance. They don't actually own the rights to that anymore.
What about James Bond films that were released before 1986?
So Bond is a different kettle of fish, and we'll get to that in a second. I like that
Okay.
expression, kettle of fish. We're going to go with that.
Where did that come from?
I've saw it somewhere before, and I just like the expression kettle of fish. I probably from some dumb sci-fi book at some point in time, but I'm going with it.
I like it.
So Amazon gains access to MGM's library of franchises and ongoing series to develop its own IP off of. So they own characters, or will own characters, such as Rocky Balboa. They'll own the Legally Blonde franchise, the Pink Panther, Poltergeist, and they even own the character Dr. Hannibal Lecter, though they don't own other pieces of that universe like Clarice Starling. So in theory, they could do another Hannibal Lecter movie or TV show. Now let's get into the James Bond thing, what I equated to a different kettle of fish. This also includes James Bond, the series and its characters, though it's unclear how much control they have over the franchise. Here's why. MGM holds only 50% of the rights to Bond. The other 50% is controlled by the Broccoli family, who have to sign off on new projects in the franchise and its creative decisions. Thanks to this 50-50 say on the future of Bond, this means that Amazon couldn't unilaterally decide to say, hey, we've had a lot of luck with these Tom Clancy-based Prime series. Let's do a James Bond Prime series or something that would also tie to the James Bond movies. They cannot do that, presumably, without approval from the Broccoli family and the Broccoli family's creative control. So they have bought up a lot of stuff here. One series that is part of Amazon's back catalog that I'm really excited for them to own the rights to and maybe do something with is the Stargate series. Now, we haven't talked about it on this show, but if you've been following various geek blogs and news sources, the former showrunners, Robert C. Wright is Robert C. Cooper and Brad Wright, or is it the other way around? Wright and Cooper, who basically ran the entire series on Sci-Fi Channel and Showtime before that moved, have been floating the idea of wanting to continue the story of Stargate. They have talked to the original actors to get them involved to reprise their roles as aged versions of their characters to continue a story set in that universe. However, this was all prior to the pandemic. The pandemic hit and they said, this slows things down a little bit. We are still committed to wanting to do more with Stargate. MGM was seemingly interested. MGM has now been bought by Amazon. Jeff Bezos already saved one sci-fi show because he liked it a lot. That was The Expanse. So fingers crossed that Jeff Bezos is a fan of Stargate, because that means, in theory, they've got a big backer, the guy who owns the company and now all of the content, that says, I want more in this universe. And Prime has been making a big point of wanting to have their own exclusive in-house made shows and content. And they do have some really good content. But now they have access to the vast IP of the Stargate television series. And why I brought all this up was to bring my speculation and hope to the forefront. Let's hope we can turn this positive thought into reality. Amazon could hopefully bring back Stargate in some way, shape, or form. I have no sources or anything like that that says they're going to do it, but they have the ability to do so. So send positive thoughts that Amazon resurrects the Stargate franchise, because there's still a lot that could be done there. Even if it is not an ongoing tale of all the characters we love from Stargate SG-1, you could tell stories that are set 20 years after SG-1 ended, where these folks are in senior roles that are helping to guide the future of the Stargate division. So the small news here, Amazon bought MGM for $8.5 billion. The big news in my mind, it means they can bring Stargate back now.
Stargate is awesome. It was one of my 4 big TV series that wasn't Star Wars or Star Trek. So you had The Expanse, which is my number 1 now. Stargate, which used to be my number 1, but is number 2. And then you also had like Battlestar Galactica. And for those that remember the 80s anime Robotech, those were my 4 big space operas, which were amazing. Now,
The problem with Stargate versus the others is that it's set in real time. So it suffers from kind of the Star Trek, the original series technology issue, whereas the early on Stargate stuff is really, really dated. If you go back and you watch the movie or you watch the beginning of Stargate SG-1, it's shot in 4:3. It hasn't really been upscaled, and it has just older technology, the bigger laptops, the older stuff. So bringing that franchise into the future, you have this complicated universe where it's based on human history up to a certain point, but then humans are part of this larger universe. You have Stargate Atlantis, the city, which actually touches down in the middle of the ocean at the end of that. Spoiler, by the way, but it's something that you can't ignore. It's just too big of an event. It had to have been known throughout the planet. And one of the things about the Stargate universe is that only a select few knew that the Earth was part of this bigger civilization throughout the galaxy. And as we see in Stargate universe, throughout the universe, not just the galaxy, but more galaxies than that. So the problem I see with rebooting or doing a follow-on Stargate series is that real-time challenge. Whereas all the others that I named off, you can go into the future and you can just say, hey, look, this is in the future. Like The Expanse is in the future. The Robotech, it's technically in the future. I mean, it's in the past, but you can say it's in the future. And Battlestar Galactica is not even related to Earth until they actually get to Earth. So you can find ways around that. So that's the one caveat I have with Stargate and an issue with restarting that franchise. Now, can they reboot it in a way that completely obfuscates that? Absolutely. And I would look forward to that. But those are the challenges that they have looking forward. As far as the James Bond here, get a quick word in on that. The Broccoli family, if they want to make more money, they're going to have to make some creative decisions to go forward with something. Now, whether that's a series or a movie, that's up to them.
I'm sure they will want to continue doing movies, and I'm sure Amazon will want to do that too. And there's a lot of theories coming out that Amazon might also want to do a television series of some kind. And the Broccoli family, like I said, they've been very defensive of Bond, but they've pretty much made it so that movies were happening at a fairly rapid pace. So I don't think that's going to go away because they like money. It's just a matter of whether they want to go forward with anything other than movies, or if they feel that is potentially watering things down or opening them up to more, not criticism, but if you don't pull off a TV series, does that then impact the future of the movies? Because people are like, ugh, I didn't like that Bond TV show. Why do I want to see the movies?
So do you know, because I haven't ever, like the only Stargate I've watched is the original movie, and
That's where it all starts, by the way.
yeah. So I'm not that excited about that, but I am excited about this deal. But do you know, like, when a movie falls under like them being the production company, is that what they're getting, or does it include when they were the distribution company? Like, I'll give you an example of that. I just was doing a little reading about this. Clerks 2 was produced by View Askew Productions and the Weinstein Company, and it was distributed by partially the Weinstein Company and also MGM. Would that be one that they would have because they distributed it, but there was nothing to do with like the production side of things?
A distribution deal, I would think, is probably slightly separate from a production deal. It all depends on how the legalese and the deal was worked out between those as to who retains ownership. And that probably varies. And again, we're not really Hollywood insiders here. But remember, we ran into that issue a little bit with the Marvel movies. When you get to Iron Man 1, which was Paramount produced or handled the distribution of it. So they got a cut in their logo at the beginning of it at one point in time. And I think it was Universal that handled the distribution for the Incredible Hulk movie. And that also was technically Marvel Studios, just weird rights as to who would distribute. So I think Marvel still retains ownership, but had to give up some of the distribution rights to those studios. So I think it varies, just honestly depending on how the contracts are.
All right, well then here's another question for you, and this is SP's favorite movie of recent.
Legally Blonde?
It's actually A Star Is Born. I thought it was a good example because the production company was MGM, Live Nation Productions, Gerber Production or Pictures, Peters Entertainment. It was 4 all in one. So like, what does Amazon get with that? They get like a percentage and they basically
I don't know.
get anything from it. Like, I don't know. Anyways, I've never seen A Star Is Born, but
Which one?
the most recent one.
Gotcha.
That's what I was referring to. But no, I just was looking through some of the MGM titles on Wikipedia, and like as I was going through, I was seeing some of these different questions come to my mind, and this was partially inspired by in our Discord. We had someone say, "Is there a list of everything that's been affected by this?" And this is the question that I have, because when you go through the MGM list, in so many films, they're only a piece of the pie. And so
Can I
I'm
give you
confused.
another example?
Yeah, for sure.
Star Wars: A New Hope.
Is MGM part of Star Wars: A New Hope?
No, that was 20th
No.
Century Fox
Right.
and
Okay.
Lucasfilm Limited. And then
Right.
the way the rights were structured was Fox always had a cut on A New Hope, and then when Disney acquired Lucasfilm, they had to keep the Fox logo and distribution to that with Fox, but Disney had the other 5 movies at the time. So this is all weird.
And now Disney owns 20th Century Fox.
Correct. So they could then distribute that how they chose to. Because that was one of the interesting things when it came to trying to purchase these things streaming, is that the streaming complexities came into play as to how do I acquire A New Hope.
Question for you guys there. Have you seen Star Wars: A New Hope on Disney Plus recently?
No.
Okay. Neither have I. Actually, I have, but I don't remember the beginning because I was on the treadmill. I'm going to have to go back and take a look and see if that 20th Century Fox logo is still part of Star Wars: A New Hope, because that is just a data point in all this. Like, is there some legalese that says that they still need to retain that 20th Century Fox thing, which would pertain to the questions you've been asking here, Stephen, for
Yeah.
MGM?
It's a good question. But now that they own 20th Century Fox, they could probably do whatever they wanted. 20th Century Fox isn't going to sue them. Since
Right.
you can't sue yourself.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's some sort of Hollywood thing that says the original company logo still needs to be on there.
Perhaps. Well, in any case, we look forward to Chris getting back to us next week with the answer to all of these questions.
I'm looking up the Disney Plus piece right now for
Okay.
Star Wars. I'll report in. I'm
Awesome.
going to have to mute myself so I don't actually do anything.
Yeah, I don't want to take down notice. Thank you very much.
No.
Yeah, no problem.
Not from the mouse. No,
Not
thanks.
the House of Mouse.
All right. Well, for my news point, if you go way back in the Gonna Geek show catalog, maybe you even have to go back to the Gonna Geek podcast catalog, you'll hear a bright-eyed Chris Farrell educate SP and myself on the wonderful thing that was Dolby Atmos when it came out. That's because Chris Farrell, our very own Chris Farrell. Oh, by the way, before we continue, for the audio listener, Chris is holding up his phone and he's probably giving us a takedown notice right now, but it is the 20th Century Fox logo. So it is there.
Okay.
Hopefully it won't
We're
be-
muted.
it
There's
won't-
no takedown for just showing a studio splash.
Not yet.
Well, at least
Fine.
you didn't show like the correct the the scroll or anything that
Yeah,
happened after that.
No, I just stopped after it went to the Lucasfilm Limited splash.
Okay.
So anyways, thanks for that, by the way. So Chris was an early adopter of Dolby Atmos. In fact, I think it's worth note, shortly after Chris did talk about Dolby Atmos, SP did go out and copy him, and I believe he did buy something that was Dolby Atmos just based off of Chris Farrell's review.
I did.
You also
It was a Sony soundbar that had Dolby Atmos included, 7.2.1, I think.
Gotcha. Well, you also, if you've paid attention at all through the past how many episodes, you might have noticed as well that often when there's a new piece of media technology that comes out or a streaming service, often Chris is very quick to comment on Dolby Atmos and whether or not said service has it. So really, Chris Farrell is the Dolby Atmos expert on the Gonna Geek show.
I'm
It's
the
not-
HV nerd of the show.
Yeah, it's not just Dolby Atmos. It's also the streaming, the visual streaming, whether
Yeah,
it's
Dolby
4K, Okay.
Yes, exactly. And that's why today I'm happy that I can take a scoop from him out of the world of Dolby Atmos / Dolby Vision, because today the news went around that apparently Microsoft actually has a 2-year console exclusive on Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision. What this means is that if true, the consumers shouldn't be expecting to see Dolby Atmos or Dolby Vision on Nintendo Switch or Sony PlayStation anytime soon, because this apparently was the case. But now here's where it gets really weird, because I was reading this news and I looked and there was a bunch of different sources and they all linked to a reference blog post on Xbox Wire France Finance. This is where they listed to it. But when I clicked on the link that was listed, it went to a 404 page on the francenews.xbox.com. So
Took it down.
maybe I didn't actually get a scoop on Chris, but I thought I would still bring this up because this would be very, very interesting. And I can't wrap my head around why Dolby would agree to this.
So, question for you, Stephen. Is this exclusive Atmos and Dolby Vision for video games or for all purposes on the Xbox? Because there is a difference in how it comes to market for how people would care about it.
That's a good point. I didn't see anything specific about there. I did see reference though how you would need to buy the $15 license. So I took that
Caveat. $15 license if you want to use it on headphones for
Yes.
Dolby Atmos.
Sorry.
And if you have an entertainment center or surround sound, it is free.
And my point with that was that I know that fee covers more than just games. Now, I couldn't find the source material, so I couldn't say for sure. And the news articles that I read didn't specifically say whether it was just for games or for Blu-rays as well. I'm not sure. But in either case, I can't really wrap my head around why they would make it exclusive. Okay, Chris is doing the money sign. But you don't think that they could have been like, oh, well, Microsoft is offering us a deal. I'll bet that we could go and we could get these guys to buy us to not go exclusive.
But so Sony doesn't care in regards to the Atmos piece, I would imagine, because
Really?
they developed their own spatial sound thing that they have on PS5.
But
Now, how that works with surround sound systems, I don't really know. But a lot of people talk about this specifically in regards to headphones and things like that, because you can pretty much, if you have decent headphones, put Atmos on those to simulate altitudes and stuff like that. Now, Dolby Vision, I know for gameplay, that is something that Microsoft was touting, is that this is the only console you can do Dolby Vision in. And for those that aren't aware, that's Dolby's version of HDR10, basically, an HDR10 Plus. They have their own codec, I think it is, that handles HDR content. It's cool. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's really a major differentiator. It's probably just Microsoft throwing their wallet around. They just spent how many billions on buying Bethesda? I imagine this was something in the million area to make an exclusive contract.
I guess my question though is like, I get that Sony might have their own pictures that don't do Dolby Atmos, but there is a lot of things out there that do Dolby Atmos. And so that's why I struggle that they wouldn't care.
I think we are overemphasizing, and I note the irony in me being the one that says this, how much Dolby Atmos is used by a lot of people. I used it a lot because I built a home theater system to have it, so I'd be able to watch movies using Dolby Atmos and play certain video games that way. But the vast majority of people probably don't care about Dolby Atmos because they either A, don't have a surround sound system or a receiver that can support it, or B, don't care to pay the $15 to have their headphones do it because they may not necessarily notice it as much. It's really great to have, but it is not necessarily a selling point of something for a lot of folks. I don't think you can be like, this game has Dolby Atmos sound, and they'll be like, oh my God, I have to have it. Same with Dolby Vision, because if it supports Dolby Vision, it's probably going to support HDR10 or HDR10 Plus. And there's a lot of debate as to which is the better rendering tool for HDR. A lot of people say Dolby Vision. I don't know. My TV doesn't support it. It was a generation one generation too new, or too old rather, to be able to support it. So I haven't played with it. I just have HDR10.
All right, so let me ask you this, SP, because you and I aren't like King Chris there having a current generation console. We're just peasants here. Um, I know that you and I have not had a chance to purchase a console. If you were looking to purchase a console, and I know you've expressed a little bit about how you use it for media and things like that, would you factor this in to your decision when it came to buying a console? Or when it comes to buying a console, will you factor this in because you do use your console for media?
So I have two things I wanted to say here, and I'll side skirt your
Okay.
question to begin with, but I'll get there in the end. So the first thing I want to say is thank you, Chris, for explaining on this show all about Dolby Atmos and HDR and that sort of thing. Because at the beginning of the pandemic, we talked about this earlier on last year, that I had to update my two main media centers into 4K TVs, and I ended up upgrading the sound systems because of compatibility issues and stuff like that. What a great time to do that, because I was stuck inside for the next year plus, right? So it really was. I mean, if there was a good time for me to upgrade into that, the past year at the beginning, last March was the perfect time to do that. And it was before any price hikes or unavailability and that sort of stuff. So thank you very much for instigating me into that, also because my equipment was failing. But also, thank you very much there. So that's the first part. Now, to answer Steven's question, kind of gets into what I was just saying, is that due to the chip unavailability, due to manufacturing issues, due to shipping delays, and we're not just talking about the Suez Canal that was plugged up for a week about a month or two ago. I'm talking about massive shipping delays worldwide based on ships going from point A to point B, bringing shipping containers from point A to point B, and unable to bring those shipping containers back because they're not full of anything. So this is a domino effect throughout the entire economy. Because of that, I really don't have plans to buy an overpriced Nintendo Switch or Sony PlayStation anytime soon. If I'm going to buy anything, it's just going to be Xbox, because it's what I've decided to do. And because it already has the integrated Dolby stuff, I'll be fine there. But I don't have a desire to overspend on these consoles. I'm not a huge gamer. And Steven, as you alluded to, I do use my media consoles or these gaming consoles for media consoles as well. Not so much lately, because I've been able to get by with the Rokus, but it's always my fallback, and it is where I play my Blu-rays through. So as long as I still have that capability, I'm going to use it. But in the meantime, I'm guessing so this agreement is for 2 years. I'm guessing these cost increases and chip availability and shipping and stuff like that, it's gonna be a couple years before everything levels out. So I'm fine waiting a couple years until this Dolby perpetrates throughout all the rest of the consoles.
And one thing to keep in mind is the previous generation of Xboxes, the Xbox Ones, you can run Dolby Atmos sound off of those. They will not support Dolby Vision, I don't believe, but Dolby Atmos is not a problem, because I had an Xbox One X in my entertainment center, and we are playing 4K Blu-rays through it and getting the Dolby Atmos tracks for it. So if you still have one of the last gen consoles,
I do.
You can run Atmos on that with no problem.
I have several in the house, so I'm good there.
Yeah.
The only Atmos thing that I've done is with headphones, and not even the best headphones, but it was the simulated Atmos driver. I did pay for it on Windows, and I was impressed with that alone, let alone I would imagine it'd be quite different with actual Dolby Atmos headphones as well. The last thing that I just wanted to quickly acknowledge here is, hey, Google Photos, the unlimited storage changes are happening here. If you didn't know this, as of tomorrow, Google Photos is ending their free unlimited storage. And that means that not only will you see some changes, maybe with some Pixel phones that might be under there, if there is still anybody still under there, I'm not sure. But also they are getting rid of the free high quality one, which was not really high quality, but that's what they called it. So if you are used to any form of free Google Photos upload in any capacity, you should keep an eye out on that, because they're all going to start counting towards your drive storage. I moved away from that when I got my Pixel 4 or 4a, because my Pixel 2 did have unlimited free storage, but then when I went to the 4a, it did not have that. So I ended up like I've been paying for a monthly fee, so all my uploads are going towards my drive allotment, and it's fine because I have the shared family plan of
Yep.
like 2 terabytes or whatever, so it's fine. But I wanted to mention that right now because I know there is somebody in our chat who has been using Google Photos quite a bit for some photography. Suncast is who I'm talking about, by the
So,
way.
pro tip, if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, a lot of people don't know this. There's an Amazon Photos app, and as part of your Prime benefits, you get unlimited photo backups at full resolution, not video, but photo. So I run both the Google Photos app and the Amazon Photos app on my phone, and it'll basically just sync them all in the background. So as long as I'm a Prime subscriber, full quality photos upload to Prime for unlimited storage. That's great.
I'll have to give it a shot again. Like I tried it a long time ago, and it was a horrible experience compared to Google Photos, but that was like easily a year and a half, 2 years
I
ago.
only use the app to do the background syncing just so I have a backup copy of them. I don't use the app to
Gotcha.
do anything else really, other than just upload to Amazon servers.
I
I
really like
use-
Google Photos though. Sorry, go ahead.
I use Amazon Photos to have a favorites list basically that then plays on the Echo Show. That's the screen as a screensaver basically, and that goes out to any device that has a screen, a show with a screen. So that's what I use it for. I don't use it for a backup for anything else, but at least my favorites are saved over there. It's just not as much as every single shot that I take on my phone.
That was Amazon Photos you use that? Is what you're
Yeah.
saying? Yeah. That's what I do too. I have our kitchen has the display with the photos, and that's pretty much the only photos that I have uploaded to it.
Which should be relatively like your most important photos, or a portion of them anyway. So at least they're backed up.
It's like 15 photos. It's the same 15 photos on rotation.
Man, that gets boring after a while.
Well, I had plans to go back and add more, and that day never came.
I see.
But that's going to go ahead and take us to the end of the show. Before we wrap up, I just want to give everybody a moment here to plug and promote and do whatever they would like to do. Let's start with you, Feral, Chris.
Cool. Thank you, John Drew, Steven. I appreciate you passing it off to me. A friendly reminder to those of you guys who are watching this live, or those folks that may be watching or listening at a later date, we do stream this show live every Monday over at www.geeks.live. If you scroll down to that page, there is a calendar of all of our upcoming live events. Go check out some of the other live content we've got here and tell them that we sent you.
Pioneer, Stargate? That doesn't work the same.
You can say P, S. I mean, I can go that way.
P, S? That sounds worse.
It does. We talk all the time about all the great content that you can find within the Gonna Geek umbrella. If you go to the Gonna Geek Discord server at gonnageek.com/Discord, you see a list of shows, podcast specific channels that we have. One in particular, I just want to call out this week, Play Comics. Chris comes back with original waffles, by the way, on our Discord server. He comes back with a episode this week talking about the Pride Omnibus with Joe Glass, and check out the podcast and the show notes for your chance to win a free copy of that 400-page omnibus. So check that out. Play Comics on the Gonna Geek Network.
And the last thing that I want to mention is our Discord server. If you go to gonnageek.com/Discord, we would love to have you over there. We got lots of cool conversation happening. And why I say there's cool conversation is because, like, there was the example earlier with the whole space news point that got thrown in there. But also, we had a bit of an expansion on the whole trolley problem conversation from last week. That's a conversation that's starting up. But also, we had somebody talking about their move and a smart thermostat that they put in and some of the different progress with their move. So we got a lot of variety of conversation in the Discord, and I just love it all. So I do think that it's a lot of cool cats having some cool conversation. No.
Like the Cats as in the Cats musical?
Yes, exactly. Cody Goff is there.
Are they in the cradle with the silver spoon?
They are.
Do they have 9 lives?
Yes, that too. But that's going to go ahead and take us to the end of the show. So for episode 379 of the Official Gonna Geek Show, I'm Steven saying watch out for the Gonna Geek reunion special coming to HBO Max.
I'm SP saying if you watched any of Friends at all, the reunion special is self-explanatory and fun to watch. So good catch that.
I'm Chris, and I thought we were on Paramount Plus.
MGM.
No, so we're on Prime.
Yeah.
Disney Plus.
Gonna Geek Plus. Bye.
We still own it.
Thanks for checking out another episode of the official GonnaGeek.com show. If you like the show, please give us a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts or a thumbs up on YouTube. You can always join us for our live recording sessions, which stream Mondays at 8:45 p.m. Eastern at www.geeks.live. And remember, you can find our full back catalog at GonnaGeek.com/show. If you're itching for more geeky content, check out other shows on GonnaGeekNetwork.com. Voice work was by Emily Prokop of the Story Behind podcast. That's it for this episode. We hope to see you back again next week.
Well, thanks everybody for coming on by. We hope you had yourself a fun time.
Or at least a serviceable one.
Yes. Hopefully you got
So
some form of value.
I forgot to hit record. Should we just start the show over?
Sure.
We'll just replay it on Twitch.
I like it. GonnaGeekPlus.com.
We still own it.
Yeah, Fresh Prince reunion show. That was a good show. I would like to know the actual legitimate happenings that happened behind the scene on how can't remember her name anymore, but how Will Smith and first Aunt Viv did manage to get everything all worked out, because that was a very long feud, and I do not, rightfully so, I do not believe that we saw how it all actually worked out. So I would like to know a little bit about that. And
Did they have?
he it was nice to see him admit that he was a dick, basically. Yeah, and we all, like, everybody grows up in life, and like I did not grow up under the spotlight that he did, and I would imagine that there was different things he had to deal with.
They have a panel during that reunion.
No,
Like,
I don't think
Okay.
so.
no, it was Will was hosting it.
oh, Will hosted it
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, Albert. One day maybe I'll fix it. Maybe. The 2020.
He said he's going to stop nagging about it, so I don't think you need to fix it anymore. He's not going to nag you anymore.
You know what I should do? I should just have it so that it rolls, and like, once it rolls up, then the slash comes in and it goes 1.
So I was in the back end of the Better Podcasting show on our Libsyn account the other day,
Yeah.
because I forget where it was. I think I was looking into the RSS tags, and I noticed our copyright was 2015 through 2019.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
So-
It doesn't
so
matter.
I know, so I updated it, but that's just an example. It was 2019, and I updated it to 2021.
Yeah. No, it was I enjoyed actually the Fresh Prince reunion. I thought it was good. Good
Yeah.
stories, and
I wasn't a huge watcher of the show, but what I saw was generally funny and whatever. I just didn't watch it.
I watched it mostly like after the fact.
Okay, in reruns and
I think
syndication,
so, in
as the kids
syndication.
call it.
Yeah. I would like to go through and do a full watch. I've probably seen most of them, I would guess, but
I'm wondering,
maybe not.
over the past 20, 30 years, well, actually my entire life, actually, I was watching series in syndication like after school when I was growing
Yeah.
up, right? And then when I got older, dinner time, whatever, you see stuff in syndication. Star Trek TOS was one of them. And the kids these days, they're not going to have that. right?
No.
They're going to have these streaming services. We were quickly approaching the point where cable and network TV are not going to be. I think that's another debate for another
Mhm.
show. But my point is that if that goes away, then how are you going to pick up these shows that you didn't see real time but are still good shows? You pick them up in syndication, right?
That's true. I guess I don't know. People discover Friends is still very like it still crosses generations, and it
People
hasn't
love it.
really been on syndication.
Yeah, oh yeah, Friends was syndicated for a while
Still is
before.
on some, excuse me, on some channels for reruns, but
Really? I
a
would
lot of
be
people just
curious.
stream it now.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I got the sense that a lot of like with the reunion that a lot of the metrics were that people were the new people coming to it was through streaming, but
What's on HBO Max?
Friends.
Yeah,
it is now.
The
Yeah.
Snyder Cut.
ugh. That
You-
was
You
when
know
I
what
logged
would
in to
lo-
watch.
Sorry, go ahead.
When I logged in to watch the reunion, the first thing that was promoted to me was the Schneider Cut.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
It's a big deal to a lot of
Oh.
people. And now there's a lot of people holding out hope that since Warner Media is merging with Discovery or whatnot, it means that, oh, there's new corporate overlords. Maybe we'll get this more Snyder stuff. And I was like, oh God, I can't handle more years of delusion.
Yeah.
So anyway, you were saying about syndication.
Oh,
and
I was
Friends.
saying, what I would really love to go back and watch, and I never will because it would just be so irrelevant today. But I've always been like a late night talk show junkie, like
Mm.
but I would love to go watch like the history of Johnny Carson and probably for me more interested in like classic Letterman. I've like I
Yeah.
only really got into Letterman when he was late show, right? Like, he was like calmer Letterman, right? I just think like if you went and you rewatched, if you've not ever watched them, right, and you're not watching from a place of the hell do you call that when it's like feel good because you remember it?
Nostalgia.
Nostalgia. Yeah, if you're not watching from a place of nostalgia, then I feel like trying to sit through those interviews would be pretty hard.
Yeah, wha- similar but complete backtrack in the conversation. The Friends reunion the way that it was produced wasn't just nostalgia because they were able to
Mm,
approach the scenes from multiple angles and multiple times and multiple different ways, conversation, script reading, that sort of thing. And if you had never seen Friends before and the only thing you saw was the reunion show, you would get something out of it.
oh, interesting.
So, yeah. So talking about if they would do Letterman in the same way or any of these older shows, like not Jay Leno, Carson,
Yeah.
when he was doing the late night show, if they would do it that way in a I guess kind of like a podcast review on the show sort of way, right? But still visual, where you have not MST3K, but like a lead in and a general story around it. I think some of those big interviews and big moments in Hollywood history would come out a lot more than just watching the show like you were explaining.
That'd be interesting. I'm just looking here because now, like, I never really watched. Like, I'm sure I've watched several Friends episodes, but I wasn't like a watcher. Like my sister really liked it, and just it was again syndication. Sometimes I would have it on or whatever, but I've it's never really been my jam, and there's probably a good percentage of it that I have not seen. But so now you got me a little interested though, based off of that, because I had no interest, but that's interesting.
Yeah, I have not, in full disclosure, I have not watched all of Friends. There's probably whole seasons of Friends that I have not watched, but I'm aware of the show. I'm aware of the big moments in the show just because it was pop culture history. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing about Friends. It was on all the magazines, it was in all the entertainment news and stuff like that back at the time
Mhm.
from 1994 to 2004. I mean, everybody knew about the Rachel haircut. Everybody knew about Ross and Rachel, and just the big moments of the show, the pivot moment. Everybody quotes pivot all the time.
Yeah.
Well, that was from Friends. That was an episode of
Do
Friends.
you want to know what? Like I've used it. I've had people use it. I've legitimately like I've looked it up and seen like the clip. I've never, for sure, that's one of the episodes I've never seen. 100%.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Yeah.
And the reunion show, let's just use that as an example. The reunion show goes into at length of describing the scene and the episode to the point where I've never seen it. I knew of it. And
Yeah.
I got more background in it. I was like, oh, okay, it was funny. You saw the bloopers around it, that sort of thing. And basically that's kind of what it was. It was like going to a comedy show or a comedy club and just being entertained for an hour and 45 minutes.
Well, it looks
Was
like
it
for me to get it, I'd have to have the HBO add-on. Now, luckily, it's on Crave, where I can do the thing where I can add it barely before my cycle's up and they prorate it. So, like, if I was to add it right now, I'd only pay $3 for the HBO thing for the month, and I can go and cancel it right away and then have it for the 5 days or whatever. But or 10 days.
I don't know. Did you watch Matt LeBlanc on Top Gear?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I never could make it. Like I should go back and look because I could never made it to that point. So
Well, I mean, that was after the
yeah.
original trio got fired.
Yeah,
so
but
that's
he
what I
didn't
was
come in.
asking.
He wasn't the first batch. He wasn't even the
Nope.
second batch. He was the third batch. So
And then he got booted
yeah.
after that. So, anyway, if you might get something out of it, you might not. I don't know. It wasn't complete nostalgia, is what I'm saying. It was a produced thing. I mean, these people got paid millions of dollars to be on the show, so they were actually giving some
Okay.
entertainment value.
Okay. I'll watch it because you know what else is under that package right now is Wonder Woman 1984. So I will.
And you haven't seen that?
I
huh?
haven't seen
Yeah.
it, so I can pay myself $3 or so. It'll be less than that by the weekend probably, and then both on the weekend I'll watch that and the Wonder Woman maybe. And if not, then it's gonna have to wait a month because I'm not paying full $10.
No, I wouldn't. That's a good five hours of entertainment between the two and all the extras. I don't know if you can get the extras on that package of the reunion. If you have HBO Max and if you haven't watched the extras to the reunion and you have watched the reunion, the extras they're just short. They're like 3 minutes a piece. There was one that wasn't worth it to me, but the rest were worth it to me. It was actually add on to the entire thing.
I don't know if we get the extras on the Canadian HBO. I don't think we do.
Okay. Well, this is the first time that I saw any extras whatsoever. So,
That's
I guess,
interesting.
yeah, I guess I could film them with my cell phone and send you the video
Please-
recording.
Please do it. Like, by the way, for those of you watching right now, he's not actually going to do it legally, disclaimer. But for the joke, please do it like back in the 90s where it was like
That's exactly what I was going to do. I was going to turn off the motion, the motion smoothness, and I was going to make you watch. Matter of fact, I could go back and use my camcorder and do it that way.
Remember when you would do that? You go into a theater and you'd see a guy in the back. It's like,
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe he had a coat over
Yeah.
everything and a little black tape over the red.
yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, whatever. I just took one look at that. I'm like, what would you get out of that? You get nothing at it. I mean, it's whatever.
I actually saw someone doing that for one of the Marvel movies with their phone. And it was great. They had a little mini tripod they had set up and everything, and it was obviously the theater wasn't that busy, but they just had it right beside them.
And this was on the island that you live on.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
it was in recent. I don't remember which one, but because
Like Infinity War or Endgame.
Well, as Chris knows, for a very long time, I did not see movies in the theater. So there's only like
He's
only,
right.
only like a 5-year window where I was going to movies regularly in the theater. So
Oh, yeah. At the end of Friends, I forgot that Ant-Man married one of the friends.
Oh yeah, that's right.
did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Rudd was in it.
What did he play? Like was way
It was
back.
Phoebe's.
Okay.
It was Phoebe's boyfriend.
Yeah, I
He
have
probably
no
looks
recollection
the
of that
same
either.
still too.
Oh, he looked really young. I mean, all the people that were on there look really young. Like Brad Pitt, it was in his early days when he was just meeting Jennifer
Yeah.
and whatever. He looked really young. It was one of his first appearances in TV. And Tom Selleck was on the show. I mean, Danny DeVito was on the show. There's a lot of big names that guested on Friends because 25 million people a week watch the damn thing.
Yeah.
So
All right, thanks everybody. We're gonna go. If you want to check out Better Podcasting live chat tomorrow, you can. We'll be here at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you want
Okay.
to come back on Sunday, Chris will give you a nice morning snuggle at 9
It's true.
9 a.m. Pacific. I always forget. 9 a.m. Pacific,
8 a.m. Pacific.
8 a.m. Pacific. Thank you.
no Legends of Shield this weekend. I'll be
Okay.
traveling.
Chris, the reason I don't remember the time is because like I'm either by my computer or I'm not by my computer when that happens. So it's like if I'm by my computer, it pops up and off I go. Or if I'm not, then I see the message. As you know, I see the message on my phone. I sent Chris a message this week because the Twitch notification, I kept meaning to do it, kept coming up and saying something about daylight savings time.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like, oh, I keep meaning to tell you, Chris. All right, bye, everybody.